Welcome, welcome, everyone. You see this? I'm cheesing, but I gotta make it be all professional right now because, first of all, welcome to the Women Are Worthy show, the Women Are Worthy network, and let me do some general housekeeping. First, if you want to subscribe, you got to join our tribe. If you want to join our tribe, you must subscribe. Yes, I came up with that one. Now, I created this platform because I want people who are doing positive things in the community to have an opportunity to speak. Decided I gotta calm down because y'all, I'm about to fan out. I'm trying so hard not to fan out. But as you see, the title says extra, extra. We have the messenger of inspiration, Brother Nuri Muhammad. We have the honor of having this amazing brother on our show. Now, I can't take all the compliments. I can't take all the praises because one of my sisters, who's also in the NOI, Sister Tahara Rosenberg, she was the one who told me about you. And she completely changed my life when I found out about you. But I have to give honor and praise to your wife, okay, who's allowing you and giving you the opportunity to go out and give and feed people, because so often people just give us the fish, but you're teaching people to fish. And I want to thank and give all praise to your wife for being such a good wife and allowing you to do what you need to do in the community. We also want to thank, first of all, you doubled Mosque 74 in Indianapolis. Are y'all listening to me? He doubled this, okay? And it was basically with his message, which is balanced of mix of information and inspiration. So the Women Are Worthy show and network, we are welcome. We are so honored. We are so proud to have Brother Nuri Muhammad.
Oh, it's my honor, Sister Jackie. It really is. And, as you just explained, that old saying that behind every good man or great man is always a great woman, or a strong man, a strong woman. But the real truth is that right beside every strong man is a strong woman. So I'm thankful to Almighty God for blessing me with a mate and a companion and a friend, my best friend, to help to free me up. I read a story just the other day, Sister Jackie, where there was the mayor of a small town riding in a parade. And as they was going through the parade, he was waving at everybody, and his wife was with him. She was waving. And they seen in the crowd her ex-boyfriend from high school. And the mayor said to his wife, he said, "Aren't you glad you married me? Because had you married him, look at what he's doing. He's pumping gas at the gas station over there." And she said, "No, if I had married him, he'd be the mayor." So, basically she was trying to check him to let him know that a high percentage of what you are didn't come from your own intuition and from putting your own face in your own books, but a lot of what you are came from you being with me. And I'm thankful to Almighty God, Allah, to be able to say that I have had in my wife a positive soundboard in my life for many years now. And I owe a lot of credit to her for helping to shape and mold me and civilize me to be a better man.
And we appreciate that. So, again, with Tahara telling me about you, because I had my, like everyone else, misconceptions and our own interpretation about NOI, Nation of Islam, and reading stuff about you, brother. I'm telling you, you single-handedly, and not only with the Rosenbergs, and I have to, because so often we always giving women their props, their roses, and I believe in giving people their credit while they're alive. So again, I want to say thank you for what you're doing, but I also want to ask you, what led you to the nation? I mean, what led you to that? Because I want to talk about, you're here now, you're doing phenomenal things, but what brought you here?
Well, I came up in the streets, like a traditional young black male, you know, in the hood, in the trenches, and in traditional regular hood life, hustling and doing all the foolishness that goes on in the ghetto. And as I was doing what I was doing in selling dope, that I didn't like the way it felt on the inside. And so it started disturbing me at night, and I felt myself dying on the inside, and rightfully so. You know, as the prophet Obadiah said, you know, as a man soweth, the same shall he reap. So if I'm killing people with the poison that the enemy has put in our community, then I should die on the inside too. So I started losing love for what I was supposed to love. And I didn't like that feeling, so I stopped. At the time, my girlfriend we were only 16 years old, but she had a father who had introduced her to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He never joined, but he always took them to hear from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at Savior's Days, gave them tapes, lectures. So she, at that time, gave me 2 tapes and a message to the black man by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I didn't read them, but every time we talked, she wanted to talk about them. And the only thing that I knew to try to get right was to go to church. So I started participating in church, and 2 services on Sunday, Bible studies, and I did all that I could do. But I don't know if you've ever interacted with anybody that has used drugs or sold drugs. But either or, whether it's a user or a seller, both of them are addicts. It's just as hard to stop selling as it is to stop using, because one's addicted to the drug itself and the other one's addicted to the fame and the fortune that comes from the selling of that drug. So I was in church trying to get right, but I didn't feel like I was getting the strength to resist the pull back into the streets. And my girlfriend at the time introduced me to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I started listening to the tapes, reading the message of the black man. Lo and behold, at 17, I joined the nation in August when I was 17 years of age. And she ended up joining the nation a couple of weeks later. 2 years after that, we got married. And we've been married now. This July will be 27 years.
That's what I'm talking about. Black love. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so you joined the nation. Can you talk about what is in your opinion, one of the 2 misconceptions that people have about the NOI, Nation of Islam?
Well, of course, when I came up, I was so dumb that I thought Islam was a country. So I didn't know nothing about no Islam. And the greatest misconception that has been the recycled lie that our enemy has used to try to demagnetize black people from the nation in general as a group, and in specific, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is this recycled lie that y'all don't believe in Jesus. Knowing that that's not true, we believe in Jesus. The only difference between us and the rest of the world is we believe in the right Christ, not the white Christ. But we still believe in Jesus. That's the difference. We believe in that Jesus that had hair like lamb's wool, as the book of Revelation says, and feet like brass that had been burned in an oven. Brass already brown, you burn it, you know it's going to be black. We believe in that Jesus that had the complexion like that of an olive, whose mother Mary was an Egyptian woman, and Egypt from the Greek Aegyptus, meaning land of black and burnt skinned people. She's black, and if she's black, her son has to be black too. We believe in that. So that's the greatest lie, because we have, Sister Jackie, we have a strong attachment as black people to Jesus, and we should. Our problem, though, is we have more of an emotional attachment to Jesus than an educational attachment to Jesus. Thus, Jesus now has many fans, but very few followers. We strive in the nation, under the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, to not just have an emotional attachment to Jesus, but an educational attachment. Not be a fan of Jesus, but a follower of Jesus. Not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. Not just praise his holy name, try to live his holy example. So that is the biggest of all the myths. That is the greatest hindrance that blocks people. That right there, as soon as you say Muslims don't believe in Jesus, because of the way we've come up and been raised with our love for Jesus, it automatically triggers the built-in defense mechanism in the black psyche that blocks us from looking at, listening to anybody that doesn't believe in him. It's a lie. It's a trick. It's a recycled fable by our oppressor to keep us disunited.
I'm going to read some comments. I have a comment from Zena. She says, unfortunately, dead souls live and walk the earth. Then Chris said, Zena also said, must have the will to support and do better. And I wrote, and there's also brainwash to restraint. Now there's some debates that's going on, and I want to talk to you because I want you to help me here, because I mentor young girls and young boys of all different races and ethnicity. But the younger African Americans are coming to me and they're asking me, when are we going to get it together? When are we going to stop depending on the man? Do you foresee us getting it together? And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm totally transparent. My response to them is, I don't see it happening. My question to you is, because on this platform is a non-judgment zone, right? My question to you is, how can we, because I don't see it. So now I got to go to someone who's bigger and has more experience. How can we make this happen? Because we have to start supporting each other. What should we do? How can we get this done? That's a whole bunch of questions I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's just, because my response was no. What would have been your response and how?
Well, there's a scripture in the book of Ezekiel that kind of describes the condition of Black people in America and our response to the messengers of God, the servants of God that he's blessed us with. And I'm speaking of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. There's a story in there that there was some dry bones in the valley, and the Son of Man was speaking to those bones, and he had two goals for the bones. All he wanted the bones to do was to stand up and unite. And according to the scripture in the 37th chapter of Ezekiel, that the Son of Man was speaking to the bones, asking them to unite and stand up. And it says that the bones shook, the bones rattled, but the bones would not stand up and unite. So the Son of Man went back to the Lord that sent him to try to unite and erect or resurrect these dry bones, and said, Lord, I've been speaking to the bones and they shake and rattle, but they won't unite and stand up. And the Lord told the Son of Man, well, go back and stop speaking to the bones and start speaking to the winds, and let the winds whip them into shape. Winds represent circumstances. So we have a saying in the nation that the best will come from the word and the rest will come from a whooping.
Ooh,
Unfortunately, the word alone has not been sufficient enough to say, man, that's knowledge, that's wisdom, that's understanding, that's right. It agrees with my soul what I'm hearing of good. I shop with your brother before you shop with another. That's a built-in natural axiom that exists in the nature of all other people other than black people. Every other group of people shops with their brother before they shop with another. We're the only people that blame the white man for 95% of our problems, but still spend 97% of our money with them. Among the Jewish community and the Asian community, a dollar circulates in their community 7 to 10 times before it leaves. A dollar remains in the Jewish or in the Asian community for 28 to 30 days. In the Jewish community, 21 days. Among our Latino family, they keep theirs 14 days before it goes out. But in the black community, our dollar leaves in 3 to 6 hours. So if you got a direct deposit on Friday morning, by the time you got off of work, your money's already back in the hands of your oppressor. That's bad. That's bad math. So we have to be completely re-educated. It would be good that the word would be sufficient. But according to the scripture, it took a little more than the word. It took circumstances. It took the whooping. So as things continue to get worse on the horizon for us, and as we suffer more, then it's going to force us to unite and stand up. According to the scripture, when the Son of Man stopped talking to the bones and started speaking to the winds, it says, and the winds began to blow on these dry bones, and they stood up and united, and they became an exceedingly great army. So that spirit, that soldier spirit that we need to be successful as a people, the unity that we need, the moral correctness that we need. Unfortunately, based off of this scripture, it took more than the word. It took the whooping. It's going to take some circumstances, but don't fret. Don't fret. All of them going to come. All of us going to be on the same page at some point. It's just going to take time. God's promise is that he would choose the poor, the rejected and despised. That's us. God promised us in Bible and Quran that he would make the bottom rail the top. The last would be first. The least would be the most. The stone that all the builders rejected would become the cornerstone of a new world where you can't find another people on not 1 square inch of the 196,940,000 square miles of this planet more fitting that description of last, least, and lost than black people in America. We're going to be on top as we once were, and we're going to bring the whole world, black, brown, red, yellow, and white, all back into the harmony and balance of divine in a few short days. It's going to take a little struggle. It's going to take a little whooping. It's going to take the winds blowing on us, but it's promised that we're going to get it together.
And see, right now we're losing our Black leaders, right? This is what I'm telling my circle. I can only work within my circle. That's how I look at it. And I think if everyone did that. So I'm telling my community that don't go out there looking for, let's say, a Reverend Jackson. Start within your community. So be that leader. Stop looking for someone and be that leader. My question to you is, because I'm just learning so much right now. I wish I can type it, but I'm learning so much. What would you say if you were our leader? How can we change what's going on? Because we don't have unity. We're not our brother's keeper. And I am my brother's keeper, and I am my sister's keeper. And I'm going to hold you accountable for the shenanigans that's going on now. So what would you do? What would be the first 2 steps? Because I need to hear things so I can apply some of that in my community as well with the women. Well,
I of course, I am a student, a servant, and a soldier of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I see him as being that qualified one that would be the ideal or the developed model of what a human being should look like. That if we all put our foot where he put his foot and really became like he is wherever we are, then we would have what he calls the cultivation of the leader within. Sister Jackie, what's interesting is that in the Bible, in the Old Testament, Solomon is called the wisest man of the Old Testament. And his students and those that admired him, they came to him to ask him, you know, how could we become as wise as you are? And Solomon, believe it or not, didn't tell them what school to go to, what course to take. He didn't even put a book in their hand. He said this in Proverbs 6, verse 6. He said, study the ant, thou sluggard. Learn of her ways and become wise. Who, having no overseer, or in some translations, having no specific individual leader, is able to provide for itself in all seasons. So how can we develop and cultivate what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan calls that leader within? Well, study the ant. There must be something profound about this ant that the wisest man, when they ask him how to become wise, would direct them to the study of an ant versus a book or a school or a course or a program. Do you know, Sister Jackie, when you look at an ant, that if you've ever seen an ant mound and you kicked it, you know, or accidentally kicked it or accidentally on purpose kicked it over, one thing you'll notice is that the ants, they'll fight to protect what's theirs. Good lesson. If you ever went in the house after kicking the ant mound, you don't see the ants on your porch or in your walkway with no strike or picket signs, protesting, asking for justice and freedom. We want ant power. They're not out there asking for nothing. They move a few feet over and get back to work rebuilding their mound. Do you know that ants don't even know the bigger picture? They don't even know what they're doing. I heard you just say, all I can do is speak to those that are in my sphere. That's the job of each one. Every human being on the planet has a minimum of 12 people that are in their sphere of influence that will do what they say or do what they do simply because you are who you are. Ants don't know anything about what the other ants' assignments are. All they know is what they're supposed to be doing. So since they don't know the bigger picture, they don't ever get tired or impatient. And since they don't know what the other ants' job is, they never have any envy or jealousy of any other ants. They work together in a collective manner. Did you know that if you step on an ant and one ant dies, because ants don't feel personal pain, only the pain of a group, they don't allow the grief of a loss of one to stop them from doing the work of the whole. And I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, every now and then I would see, you know, a piece of food moving. And I thought it was moving all by itself. And I would go and kick the food off, and lo and behold, it'd be one little ant carrying a whole Cool Ranch Dorito all by himself across the street.
Not the Cool Jam Dorito.
Do you know why the ant could carry a bee or carry a whole potato chip? No. It's because the brain of an ant does not register impossible. They can pick up an object 50 times their size, 50 times their weight, and carry it for an unlimited amount of time, because in their mind, they think that anything they put their mind to do, they can, in fact, achieve it. So I'm saying that to say this. Think about that. Look at these characteristics of an ant. An ant, if they have a goal to build a mound, and in between them is a body of water, and they have no other way to get to the other side except through the water, do you know the older ants will sacrifice their lives and build a body bridge so that the younger ants can climb over their back and make it to the destination to complete the mission? I remember a few years back, whenever the flood hit in South Carolina, in Charleston, there was a news reporter, and he thought there was a stick coming up out of a foot of water. And on top of the stick, there was one ant. And as he got closer, he said, wait a minute, this is not a stick with an ant on top. All of this that looks like a stick is thousands of ants stacked on top of one another, and there's one ant on top. Guess what they found out, Sister Jackie?
What they find out?
That the men of the colony had given their lives to build a platform where the queen of the colony could still live to make it to dry land to reestablish their colony. I wonder what would happen if black men thought like that about black women. So I'm saying that to say that we don't need the individual civil rights activists, or we don't need the individual person to come tell us what needs to be done. We already have the one that wasn't appointed by a college, university, or by enemy, but was anointed by God in Farrakhan. But for us, we should be cultivating the leader within. And I'm telling you, Sister Jackie, if everyone in the viewing audience would adopt those characteristics that were just displayed about the ant, we wouldn't be searching for somebody to get us across the river. We'd be pulling our sphere of influence together in unity with one another, making it to the destination of what God has promised us, and that is to become the rulers of this planet.
You know, I'm glad that I have you on the show because we always talk about a virtuous woman. Now, you being married, because I definitely want to get your wife on the show because we have some questions we're going to have to ask her. But a man of influence, a man of integrity. I want to know from you, what are the 3 qualities that you find being a married man? Because we're having so many issues going on, and there's so many scandals going on with those. I call them, I'm going to say it, pimps from the pulpit. Okay, I'm going to put it out there. All these so-called experts. And what they're doing is they're damaging these poor women. So my question, and I'm going to hold these women accountable too, because it's just common sense. Okay, but that's a show for your wife. I'm not going to unleash that on you. So my question is, what is a man of character, a married man of character? Can you give us just at least 3 characteristics? Because there's women, they're still searching. And I know there's more than that, but if you can just name a couple, list a couple.
Well, you said it. It's integrity. You know, your character is who you are or what you are when no one else is looking. Integrity, the base word of integrity is integer, which means oneness or one. So a person of integrity is one whose private life and public life is one and the same. It is congruent with one another. So you have too many people that are publicly one way, but privately a different way. I'll tell you this, Sister Jacqueline, unfortunately, hypocrisy has infiltrated every organization and every system of religion on the planet, where you have people that are living double lives and are perpetrating a fraud, false flagging, or speaking from their mouth what is not in their heart. And because of that, you have these kind of characters that are in front of us. And I had a group of pastors once that met with me, and they wanted to create a new, basically social platform that we could unite together and attack the problems that affect our people, and really stand up to the injustice. And I only had one request of them. I said, well, you do understand, brothers, that as soon as you make a move to deal with this open enemy, that you have to make sure that your private life is as clean as your public life. Because if you've got anything that you got going on in your private life that is abstract and opposite of what you say you live by, they will expose it, and you will be discredited and lose your credibility among your people, and of course mess us up too. Mm-hmm. Do you know I never heard back from them again?
You know what? I'm not, you know,
no, listen to me. No, not one of them ever was willing to make their private life congruent with their public life. So that is it, you know. And you don't treat a woman right, your wife right. You don't treat her with loyalty because of what she does for you or does not do for you. You treat her the way you want to be treated, and you follow the principles that you've committed to the God you believe in, and you treat everyone according to those rules. So, you know, the simple mathematics I always tell us is that whatever you would want done to your daughter or your mother, make sure that you treat the woman in your life the same way. And whatever you would want her to do to you, would you want her in some other man's DM? Would you want her fraternizing and flirting with? Would you want her looking at that, watching that? Would you want her? So whatever you don't want your woman to do as a man, then don't, you know, find yourself doing that to her. So it's a great struggle, because it is a weakness in human nature. And as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this, he said, men are generally sinful. So you heard Moses, whenever he was teaching, everything he told that was wrong, he said, thou shalt not commit, thou shalt not do, thou shalt not say this. He always attacked the action. But in the Quran, in the Holy Quran, look at what it says. And go not near fornication. In other words, don't even put yourself in a circumstance or a situation or an environment that would tempt you to do other than what you committed to your God and to yourself, to your family to do. So it's the discipline that you have to have. It's the integrity that you have to operate under. And you have to live by a code that you are loyal to the God, and you're going to make your word bond. And of course, we all make mistakes, and nobody holy, pure, or perfect. But we should try our best to treat other people the way we want to be treated, including our spouses. And we should always regulate our affairs the way we're going to handle another woman. Whatever I'm going to say or do to another woman, I only will do it if I'm okay with someone doing it to my daughter or to my mother. And I think if we had that code, you'd have a whole lot of this madness curbed.
Because I think it's all in the music. Everything is over sexualized now. Everything. So I wanted to talk to you about Miss Sister Wisdom just came on, and she said, did you cover the many calling the alpha male needs? Dr. Umar recently said of the DJ matter that alpha males aren't monogamous.
Well, I didn't hear that statement, but the reality is this, that every human being, male and female, has one heart. So the same type of heart and mind that a woman loves a man is the same heart and mind that a man loves a woman. So they did a study in 2012 on the Today Show, and they interviewed women all over the world, and they asked them what it is that they were looking for in men. And after they got finished interviewing women of all nationalities and backgrounds, it ended up being broke down to 4 different things that you could categorize under the number L. They were looking for a man that would love them, that would labor for them, that would make them laugh. And guess what number 1 was? They were looking for a loyal man. Why? Because in general, women have always been one-man women, but men have very rarely been one-woman men. But in our book, the Holy Quran, God tells us that one wife is best for you if you but knew. So the practice of polygamy is something that was done in ancient times as a conditional response to a necessity based upon loss of the lives of men in battle and war. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan called it a lesser of 2 evils that was encouraged not for sexual gratification or game plan, but to keep the society together in balance whenever women were not the breadwinners, were not working, were not able to provide for themselves. Men were doing it all. So they would keep women from being out in the streets prostituting to survive by bringing them in to make them wives. But it was all temporary and it was always conditional. So this myth that men don't have the ability or the capacity by nature to be loyal to one woman is a lie.
Wait.
Men have the capacity.
I need you to repeat that because I need people to hear this, because I've said this many times when people are saying, well, when I tell them how long I've been married and they're like, wait a minute, have you stepped out on your husband or has he stepped out on you? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Instead of congratulating, that's the first thing they come up with. And then as a woman, because I want to go back to that, but I want you to know, I can't wait to get your wife on this show, because what happens is when you're saying, a lot of women don't want to talk about, they don't want to, first of all, talk about if they're in a happy relationship, because they view another woman coming in and want to break that up. A person can't break up what you got. Okay, it has to start between those two. So please repeat that again, because I've been saying that, and I'm telling you, if these people could throw some stones at me, they would. Repeat that again, my brother, please.
It is a lie. It is a myth that men do not have the capacity or the nature to be loyal to one woman. That is a lie. Men, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said this. He said that a good man does not want more than one woman. He wants one. So this is a myth. This is a lie. This is something, as you said, and it's so deep, because the mathematics of what makes us do what we do. You ever heard the saying that you are what you eat?
Yes.
Well, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that's true. He said you are what you eat, but you're even more what you think. So at the end of the day, a human being is made up of what they put in their mind and what they put in their mouth. So you hear people talking about the protection of 2 gates, the gate of the eye and the gate of the ear. That's true. You have to be careful what you put in your eye and what you put in your ear, because whatever you watch is what you will want. That's the way it goes. But you also have to be careful of not just what you listen to and look at. You also have to be careful at what you eat, what you put in your mouth. And if we were to feed ourselves good food and keep the right clean images, programs, shows in front of our eyes, keep the right types of posts in front of our eyes when we're searching through social media, and keep clean, pure, righteous, conscious music going in the ear, you will find that most of, if not all of, the temptation that people are falling victim to, it would be curbed significantly, because at the end of the day, it's what we eating. We're feeding our mind madness in music, and we're feeding our mind madness whenever we scroll through. And don't they call it, Sis Jackie, whenever you're going through Instagram, don't they call that your feed?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's right.
But you're not eating it physically where it's going in your stomach, but you're feeding your mind. And the same logic that the stomach has, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you got two digestive systems, one here and one here. You break it down to liquid form, and it integrates with the thoughts that you think. Everything that we feed, put in our mind and our mouth, is ultimately going to make us what we are. So this is a myth. And of course, it is always promoted by men that don't have the discipline or the integrity to stay committed. And they use it to justify that, look, you should just go ahead and accept that this is how it's going to be. I'm not going to ever be disciplined enough to be loyal to you alone. Well, that's not true.
But I think if women, because I was talking about girl code, if we had girl code, even if a guy were to step to you and try to talk to you and you know he's married, we need to develop. And that's, again, I'm working on some things that I got to get out there. We have to respect other women. We have to respect the marital grounds and what happens. So yes, he's going out there doing it, but he's doing it with a woman. So we have to get, so I think, we have to start being my sister, I'm my sister's keeper. And we have to get this more, our moral compass is somehow, it's like, it's crazy, because I do believe also you are what you attract. So you may not believe it, but when negative things, and someone just typed, Sister Wisdom said, protect your energy, your psyche. And I definitely agree with that. But sometimes too, you are what you attract. So you got to figure out, if you're getting a lot of busters coming to you, what is in here, why these busters are coming. So
that's right. That's right. I think too, Sister Jackie, that it's about your value. How valuable are you to yourself? See, we've heard so many negative, invalidating URs in our life that by the time we are an adult, those negative URs have become negative I ams. If women really knew their value, let me explain to you some of the things the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said about the value of the black woman. He said that the black woman is the second self of God. He said woman or mother is the first nurse, the first teacher, the first doctor. And then the minister said it like this. He said, mama is God in baby language. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said a nation can rise no higher than its woman. He said when you teach a man, you teach an individual. But when you teach a woman, you teach a nation. Then he said this, Sister Jackie, he said there's no such thing as a no good woman. Any no good woman was made that way by a no good man. So who devalued the black woman in their own mind, that they're willing to cooperate and coexist with being treated as a second-class citizen in a relationship? Now, I'm going to tell you something, Sister Jackie. If women really knew their value, they come on off the clearance rack and get back behind the glass where the real valuable stuff is at.
Man, can you preach it?
Did you hear what I said?
I heard exactly what you said. I love that.
If you really knew your value, and a man comes to you and you can tell all he wants from you is breast, legs, and thighs, you send him to KFC, not take him home with you. So it's about your value It's about, what do you think you're worth? What kind of mate do you think you're worthy of? And if you knew your value, then you would operate with a certain level of expectation. And I promise you, if women organize their collective consciousness to formulate a united front, or what you call the girl code, and men knew that in order for me to be with a woman, that I have to come up to these standards, I promise you, men would live those standards. But you can't be the kind of woman, sister, that says, you know, I ain't gonna talk to no man that don't have no money. I ain't talking to no man that don't have no car. I definitely ain't talking to no man that's still living in his mama's house. But how could you be willing to not talk to one man because he lives with his mother, but at the same time talk to another man that lives with his wife?
I like that, but not
something wrong with that mathematics.
But here's
So
another.
it's the value. It's the value. When the value comes up, foolishness will go down.
But here's another division. I'm telling you, this is getting so hot, my light done burnt out. But not only that, but here's the thing. Okay, you want to. When you talked about value, because Zena mentioned that, and that is so true. But here's the thing: you want a man to be a millionaire. You want him to buy you a Birkin bag, and you living with your mama. You don't have good credit, but you want him to have good credit. You want him to bring something to the table, but you haven't even built the table. You know what I'm saying? So we're asking for so much. And I think, and you're right, because Zena did mention something about we don't value ourselves. Look, I don't play that. And here's another thing. We're not courting. People just want to jump into dating. That's and right. Just get married to get married. I believe in, I didn't live with my husband when we were dating. And I'm not saying, again, that's in my household. That's what I believe. What other people want to do, that's on them. But we have to court. Then we have to date. We got to go back to that old school, not just dating, and women want to get married now, but I live in Atlanta and I'm putting them on blast right now. These women here are thirsty. There's no morals. I'm not saying all, so don't be hitting me up and sending me emails or sending nobody to my house. Don't send for me because I got something for you. Because my thing is, we have to start being our sister's keeper. We have to have the girl code. We have to hold ourselves up, because I don't care how many master's degree you have. You're thirsty, because I've seen it. I hear it. I get emails about it. I get emails that I should start working on, since I've been married so long, just to educate some of these women. You can't expect nothing good's gonna happen when you're dating a married man. Because my thing is, I don't want anything another woman has. And number two, if he did it to her, he's gonna do it to you. And I don't see why they think they got the platinum, no disrespect, why they think they got the platinum vagina. I have no idea why they believe that. They listen to these music, and again, no disrespect, but they listen to these music that's out there, and they think it's not reality. It's a false sense of reality. We Black women, we got to get it together. We have to get it together.
Well, you teaching, Sister Jackie. I'm telling you, you teaching, and what's something that you said. A lot of things that we call old school is really right school. And it's not about whether it was done and because it was done, but grandmama and granddaddy, great grandmama and great granddaddy, they made it 65, 70 years in marriage. Right now, Black people in America, listen to this, have the highest divorce rate of any group of people on the face of the planet Earth. There are people that are living in straw mud huts in third world nations with no running water and electricity that are having more success in marriage than Black people in America. So we have a 75% divorce rate. This means that every 4 couples you see now, in a few years, 3 of them are not more than likely going to be together. So what has to happen, as you said, don't focus so much on finding your mate. Focus on becoming the kind of person that is the actual mate of the person you're looking for. And there's a verse in the Holy Quran in the 24th surah that tells the men and women to look, keep chaste until God blesses you out of his grace with a spouse. This means that the Lord of the worlds is a matchmaker. The question is, we may want a Sarah, but are we willing to become an Abraham? We might want to get us a Khadijah or a Farrakhan, but are you willing to be a Khadijah? So work on becoming the ideal mate for the ideal man or woman that you're looking for, and watch the Lord of the worlds bend the universe in your favor, and by circumstances and events at the right place at the right time, when we become the right us, the right mate will be standing right there looking at you. And whenever you get involved in communication, just as my sister Jackie said, the discipline to not date, the discipline to court, meaning to get to know one another before you even engage in any feely, touchy of any kind, and weigh the evidence. The minute that you get physical with a man or a woman, the emotions that come from sexual intercourse produce what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan called a blinding effect, because emotions cloud the judgment centers of your brain. So you can see, but you're looking through fog now. And when a foggy day shows up, you can't see that far and you can't see that well, and you'll make a misstep. Keep the sexual side out. Keep the feely, touchy. Court, weigh the evidence, and watch and see if that person is in front of you to be the right person. Can I tell a quick little formula that you can use?
This is your show. Go ahead.
Quick formula.
It's your show.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that a woman and a man should take the time to make a list of what is the ideal mate for them. And I would suggest that at the top of the list shouldn't be a certain kind of height, weight, or appearance. It should be spiritual, mental, and personality traits, and then the physical ones should come down a little later. They could be on there, but they shouldn't be at the top of the list. Then he said this. He said, whenever you meet someone, you should find in that person 70% of the traits that you're looking for already present. And if they've got 7 out of the 10, you can work with them on the other 3. He said, our problem is that most of the times whenever we do get married, we settled. And to settle means that we may have found 3 out of the 10 of what we thought our ideal mate should be. And we thought that we was going to be able to work on and develop and cultivate the other 7. Well, whenever you get married, you're supposed to be marrying a partner, not a project. And if you find someone that only has a little bit of what you're looking for, and you believe that you can develop the potential, later you don't have a partner, you got a project. You don't want a project, you want a partner that can help you with some projects, but you don't want them to be your project. So there has to be a certain percentage of what you find in the present person that is more than what you see in that potential person. And if you find that 70%, then that's a good sign that compatibility is present. On my website at NuriMuhammad.com, there's some books that I've written that could help in the process, because we don't have that kind of time. But I have a book called Before You Say I Do, which is on the science of mate selection. And I'm going to tell you something, sisters and brothers, the most important decision you'll ever make in your life after choosing to believe in God is picking the right mate to spend the rest of your life with. Because a good man and a good woman, a good relationship, my teacher said it like this. He said, a good relationship will bring out the best in you.
Yes.
And cause you to become more youthful. While a bad relationship will bring out the worst in you and age you prematurely.
So this is why I look so young. Okay, I get it. I get it. But
Yeah.
it's true because, and not only that, I believe because we're in a microwavable society. Think about, look how long it takes when you get married for some people. Sometimes they get engaged for 2 years, some 5 years, and then the wedding, and it's a big whole hoopla. Imagine if it was like that when it comes to divorce. And I'm excluding domestic violence and things like that.
Right.
It's so easy to get a divorce right now, and we're such a microwavable society, and I think we need to slow down, start courting. And you're right, because right now it's like, okay, what kind of car he drives, what kind of house he lives in. Everyone wants someone who looks aesthetically attractive. I get that.
Right.
But it has to go further down the list, because I agree with you. I'm not trying to marry nobody's potential, because I'm already a journey. I'm not a trip. I'm a journey by myself. How my husband does this, I have no idea. But we have to make sure that we're compatible, because eventually the physical, believe it or not, eventually the physical side will disappear when you're 80,
Right.
70, 60. So then you want to be able to look at that person and still have a conversation, not like, why am I with this person? You know what I'm saying? So you have to develop a friendship. So I'm definitely going to check out your books, because I'm ready to go out there and talk to my Black women, because, they listening to these crazy Black men that are out there that are all pimps in a pulpit. And I'm coming for all their necks right now. I'm coming for every last one of their necks, because they're leading our women into temptation. And they're taking their money, and some of these women are gullible. So I'm stepping out there with, like you said,
Right.
when you step out there, make sure your closet is clean. So when they try to bring the bones, ain't no bones for them to bring out to embarrass you or anything. So you got to make
That's
sure
right.
your foundation is clean. And I appreciate that. But I can talk to you forever, my brother, because when I tell you, I'm going to be watching this video over and over and over again and write some stuff down. But I hope your wife is watching. And if she's not, she has an invitation, because we're going to bring her on, and we might do a series with her. And what I'm telling her now, we're going to be doing some events together, my sister, because I want my sisters to understand your teaching. I love what you're talking about. And if you're like this, I know your wife definitely, because
Yeah.
people talk about other half. I hate hearing my better half, my other half. You need to be whole before you come together in union.
Right.
So I know she's going to be just a lovely, lovely woman woman. So I definitely
Yeah, she's that.
reach out to her. So you let her know.
She's listening, and I hope you convincing her, because she told me she's trying not to be doing no more panels, no more. So hopefully you might be able to pull her back on. She has so much to offer, and I think it'll be good, because it is what goes on behind the stage that makes the play. It's what goes on behind the camera that really makes the movie. So what you see in a public display of anything or anyone, there's a lot of work that went into to making it what it is. And I would say this, that if you do as you're saying, Sister Jackie, take your time and be very thorough in your investigation of who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. When you take your vows, and it hurt me when you said that about, I just thought about the fact that in my book, I mentioned how easy it is to get a marriage license. But if you were trying to get a driver's license, you have to take a written exam, then get a certain grade on the written exam. Then after the written exam, then you have to schedule an appointment, and then you have to be chaperoned and show someone that you actually know how to drive, and pass the practical side after the theory, and then they give you your license. But before all of that, you still have to have your learner's permit for 6 months and log 40 hours of driving with somebody else. Then you get to take your test. I said, man, this is a corrupt country, They care more about people's cars getting ran into than people's lives being ran into. Because you don't need nothing but $42 and verification that you 18. And you go downtown and get your marriage license and get married. No, we need some more study. And the other thing, Sister Jackie, people diet, discipline themselves. They read all kind of books, magazines, spend thousands of dollars for the wedding. And the wedding is only for a day. Mm-hmm. But they don't invest any money in reading books or invest any time in studying marriage, which is for a lifetime. That wouldn't it make more sense that more energy will be put into what's going to be forever than what's going to be for an hour? But we operating bass backward.
We operate
backwards. You didn't catch that.
Yes, of course I did. I catch everything. I may not react, but I catch everything. And here's the thing too, that I think that Black people, because I'm speaking about Black women and Black men, what we don't do and we should be doing, not just respecting vows. We just like when you're in school. What I think we need to start doing, because I have it in my business and I have it in my marriage, we need to start getting mentors. I know someone who's been married 50 years, 60 years, and things like that, and they're mentoring me. We have to have those people. In this country, we somehow throw away people who are older. In the Asian country, they're revered as being wise. The minute you turn 40 or 50, it's like, okay, you're over the hill. We need to start getting, because I've said we need to get our veterans, we need to get the elderly. And I don't like calling them senior citizens. I call them seasoned citizens. We need to bring them aboard and see what they're doing, because in order for us to take it to that next level, we need to hear their stories. We need to hear their examples in order to have a better relationship. You just get married and you read a book, you may not read a book, and you're winging it. We've got to stop winging it.
Well, I agree on 1,000%. You know, that's always been a part of our culture. We always had the Katangas or the elders to pass on wisdom. What I found out though, Sister Jackie, is that the out of all of the thousands of different tribes that existed in the past and present on the motherland, there was something called a rites of passage. Mm-hmm. That a boy couldn't be called a man or a girl couldn't be called a woman simply because they were 18 or 21. There were three primary rituals that had to be tested on the young one that's going to be called an adult. One, they had to do an act of valor, prove that they had courage. Sometimes they had to go across burning coals for 300 feet and make it across, challenge themselves, challenge their fear. Sometimes they had to go get a lion, kill the lion, bring it back to the, I mean, different things to prove that you had courage. Another thing that they had to do, they would give each one of the students that were trying to go into manhood or womanhood a twig that represented them as individuals and ask them to see if they could break it. And if they naturally, they would snap the twig, then they would give the number of the whole class, it may be 30, and put all 30 twigs together and hand it to each one at a time and ask them to break it. No one would ever be able to do so. The lessons that the elder was trying to teach us is that when you're alone, you're easily defeated by an outside force. But if we stay together in unity with one another, there's no outside force that will ever be able to break us. Courage and unity. But the third thing that was common among all of our tribes in the rites of passage, that a little girl, before they ever could be called a woman, had to prove that she knew in theory the basic fundamental function of wife and mother, and the young boy had to prove that he knew the basic function of father and husband. And if you could kill a lion and you knew that unity was the formula, but you couldn't pass the exam, to prove that you knew what it meant to be a husband and the role of a father or the role of a mother and a wife, then you had to go back into study before you ever could become categorized as a man or a woman in the motherland. So I think that this mentorship that you're speaking of doesn't need to take place late in life after we become married couples. It needs to start like the elephant does. The elephant starts training the young on how to be an adult male and female elephant as soon as it's able to walk. We need to do the same thing. And I remember when I played sports, when we were practicing, the coach would always say to us, proper preparation prevents a poor performance. And I think that if we would train up the child in the way that they should go, that when they got old enough to be husbands and wives, fathers and mothers, that they would already have the theory down pat and be prepared to practice it. And unfortunately, women, how can I say this? Women are better at relationships than men are.
Correct.
And you know why? Because women have been practicing.
Yes.
As a young girl, you had dolls, you had babies that you changed diapers, that you fed. As a young girl, you played house. So even as a young child, you played dress up. You had tea time. You learned. I don't know about you, sister. I don't know if you're old enough to know anything about the easy bake oven.
Didn't I tell you I had my marriage made me look so young? Of course, easy. But that
you know something about the
bulb.
easy bake oven.
Yeah.
So look at it. As a young girl, you've been practicing motherhood, and you've been practicing the function of a wife, even as a child. But as a young boy, the only thing we did when we was growing up is played and broke stuff. So whenever you meet the man at 23, woman, sister, you meet a 23-year-old man, guess what? You got 23 years of practice of playing house, of being a mother and a wife. And guess what he has 23 years of practice of? Playing and breaking stuff.
Someone, Tawan Muhammad said, brother and sister, you need to read Brother Nuri's book Before I Say I Do and After I Say I Do. Well, I'm going to buy it because right now you stirring up some stuff, the pit of my stomach. I feel like I got a volcano erupting in my tummy because we need someone to go out there. And like I said, I can't wait for who's going to come out. I can't wait for Oprah. Okay, I'm not doing that. We have to start within our community. Chris, you think you're funny. Chris said, I look young because I'm stealing my husband's youth. Okay, Chris, that's my brother. And now Miss Wisdom said, me and my homegirls read many romance novels too. And see, some of the romance novels, let's be honest, they're out of touch. They're not, they're not realistic. It's good if you're reading it because you're like, you know what? I just want to Calgon take me away, but it's not realistic. I think we now, we're charged. There's no one out there. We can't talk about Jackson. We can't talk about Sharpton. We don't have a female out there that's out there talking and teaching these women. I love your teachings. I love the stuff that you're saying. I'm definitely gonna, connect with your wife because right now, especially in Atlanta, it's like these women are hungry for it. And I'm sure it's across the board, but I can only speak of where I live. I hear, I'm hearing these young girls talking about, I kissed a girl and I like it, so I'm gay. They have no idea. I'm listening to these throuple things that people are doing, these things that I have no clue that it's just, so what I want to say, I want to thank you for being on the Women Are Worthy Network. We so appreciate you. You are now, I just got a beep on my phone because I sent the paperwork to the judge and he approved it. You are now in the family. You and the
Oh,
wife are now in the family. The adoption papers have been approved. You and your wife are now in the family. And I want to thank Sister Rosenberg for just telling me about you, and because she's been talking about, because she is in Nation of Islam, and she's been talking about it ever since we were little, because her family was the first family when I lived in Brooklyn that was in the Nation of Islam, because I looked at it as the boogeyman. But then when her mother and her father and her family, and she's just been living life. And what I've noticed, women in that, because I think I'm very confident and my value, you can't even put a price on my value, okay? Because I'm not going to let no buster do anything. And, I'm not settling for anything at all. And she has that same type of an attitude. And I just see what it does for women, when it comes to confidence and knowing what you want. So we can take things out of that and apply it to our life. I know I am, because I just see what's going on. And I like what you're talking about. So I just want people to know that we're here just to support people, positive people. Again, we're not here to, this is not a platform it's a non-judgmental platform. Any and everyone is welcomed here. And I just so appreciate you. Now, do you have any websites, any things you got going on? Because someone's already talking about, we have many powerhouse women in the nation who can teach on marriage and family. I think I know who that is. So, and that's true. So, just tell us your social media handles, because, just put it out there.
Thank you so much. The easiest way to find me is at NuriMuhammad.com. I'm on Instagram as Nuri Muhammad, Brother Nuri on Twitter, and Nuri Muhammad on Facebook. Just come and remember this too. Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding is not gender specific. Truth does not have a gender. Wisdom does not have a gender. So whenever the truth is presented, don't allow the gender or the age to stop you from accepting it, or make you accept it more from a man if you're a man, or a woman if you are a woman. At the end of the day, the highest authority, the highest source that you can learn what a real man and a real woman is from the creator of both the man and the woman. So I challenge the sisters to go into that Proverbs 31 and break out the characteristics of that woman and see how you're looking, what grades you will get on those characteristics, and keep on tuning yourself up to be a good reflection of that. And I challenge the men to take the Lord's Prayer, not as something that you say before you go to bed at night, not as a prayer that you ball up and throw into outer space, but look at the Lord's Prayer. Since you and I are supposed to be a father, how is our Father who art in heaven? And break down the characteristics that you read in that Lord's Prayer. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that is a description of a good man. And I think that if we as men would be that Lord's Prayer, and our women would be that Proverbs 31 woman, that when we came together, we would be able to fulfill the 4 original instructions that the Creator gave us: to be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, and subdue it. Replenish means to replace with something better. Our assignment is to repopulate the planet with a whole new species of people, better than the last ones that have lived on this planet. So check us out at NuriMuhammad.com, and don't look for a man as a man or a woman as a woman. Look for truth, knowledge, wisdom, for it has no gender. And when you want to really know how to do this thing called marriage, study what God himself said. And that is what we've attempted to do in the books that we've written and the lectures that we've done. You don't want to leave life and learn how to act like a lady and think like a man.
Woo, Lord.
You want to learn how to act like a lady and think like God.
Thank you.
And if you do that, then you'll have great success, happiness, and joy in your life. Don't take the shortcut. Don't try to cheat. Follow it the way the Lord of the worlds has scripted it, and you'll see that life will become much easier for you. Thank you so much,
You're
Sister
welcome.
Jackie. I'm so honored to be able to share space and time with you and the sisters and brothers that are on your program and platform consistently, and those that came for their first time today. And I am praying that you have unlimited progress in the reformation and resurrection of our suffering people. Thank you so much.
I'm receiving what you're saying. We're asking everyone to follow us on the Women Are Worthy Network, and also tune in tomorrow night. We're going to have the survivor of the massacre, the spa shooting that happened in Atlanta. We have a young gentleman who survived that. So his name is Marcus Lyon, and he's going to be on the show tomorrow night at 7:00. God has definitely spared his life. I mean, he has a remarkable story. So please tune in, everyone. And again, we want to thank Brother Muhammad. Oh, my goodness. Because y'all know early on, I was like fanning out. But now he's a brother. He and his wife have been adopted into the family. And we thank you. Again, we want to thank your wife for just giving you time and space to do the things, because so many people are pulling at you that we often forget about the wife. So I'm here giving her thanks and giving her roses for allowing you to just spend time with other people and help other communities along, not just your home, but other communities. So I want to thank you and your wife, and we want you to have a special and a great evening and a long life, because we're going to need you, Brother Muhammad.
Thank you so much, Sister Jackie.
Okay. Have a good evening. Goodbye,
You as
everyone.
well.
Bye-bye.